I believe the Falcons have three major problems right now that they need to address, maybe not week one, but at some point during the 2025 season. Welcome in, Falcons fans, to Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. On a very casual Friday, you notice the backwards hats, you notice the nice little Falcons hoodie that I've got going on. Feels good to just kind of relax and talk to you guys fan to fan. So let's talk about the episode. I've got three solutions to these problems that I believe the Falcons can use and kind of temporarily or permanently fix these problems. You will see here coming up in a little bit what I'm talking about. Now, before I get into what those three major problem areas are, I do have to at least mention to you right now that we're really, really close to hitting 13% on our Noti Gang, which is really cool. So all you have to do to become a Noti Gang member is, first of all, hit that subscribe button for all Falcons news, rumors, and updates. Click that little bell icon and then select the all option. It's 3 easy steps, and it keeps you informed on everything that we're doing here on Falcons Today. Let's get into the problem areas, because that's why you clicked in. The first problem is the right tackle dilemma. I know there's a lot of fans that were getting down to the comment section in the last couple of videos that were like, it's really not that big of a concern, Moose. Well, I mean, yes, it is. You lost your starting right tackle and a replacement swing offensive lineman in Storm Norton, who is out for 6 to 8 weeks. So you've got a glaring hole that, let's be honest, is going to be filled by Elijah Wilkinson. And there's a reason that he wasn't your starting right tackle. He's a fine replacement, but he's not a starting caliber right tackle. And the Falcons' offensive line outside of this is very, very good. I'm very okay with Jake Matthews, Matthew Bergeron, Ryan Newsel, and Chris Lindstrom as those four right there. But that right tackle position, being the one that has to protect Michael Penix Jr.'s blind side, is crucial. And I know what you're going to say. Caleb McGarry wasn't that good at pass blocking. Maybe not as good as he was at run blocking, but he's still the starting right tackle. So the first things first is part of the solution. You have to start Elijah Wilkinson. You can't start Jack Nelson. He's not ready for it. And I don't know how ready your recently acquired Michael Jarrell trade is going to be for that Week 1 opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But there is another part of this that I believe the Falcons can utilize because of that hole at that right tackle's position. And it's implementing more zone blocking. Your weatherman Moose here to tell you all about what today's forecast looks like. No, this is a very stereotypical zone blocking scheme that the Falcons can absolutely implement. Essentially what this is, it is not man-on-man, one-on-one coverage. You are essentially blocking a zone. So whatever defender hits that zone is what you attack. And sometimes that could be a one-on-one, but a lot of times that's a double team. So the guard and tackle pinch a specific zone in order to stop a stunt. Zone blocking is important because it allows younger players or more inexperienced players to work in tandem rather than to stop an edge rusher one-on-one. And I think going up against some of the likes of the really good pass rushers, I mean, look at Micah Parsons now playing for the Green Bay Packers. This allows more space for not only Bijan to dominate, right, especially in the run game because you can pinch and create more holes through your A, B, and C gap, but it allows a player like Elijah Wilkinson to not feel overwhelmed on getting blitzed on his specific side and taking on a one-on-one edge defender. Does that make sense? Good. I'm glad. That bleeds into my first question of today's episode. What is your confidence in the Atlanta offensive line? Listen, I think it's a 6 or a 7. And I say that because I'm not concerned about the other 4. But that hole right now at right tackle is something that is a bit of a question mark to me. We're going to have to kind of identify the problems and move along forward with them as we move on. Let's go on to our second problem. So the first one being the right tackle. Let's flip to the defense. What do you do with Dee Alford? Now, we talked about yesterday how Raheem Morris came out and said, yep, Billy Bowman's your starter. And I think that's a great move. I really do. I think that was the right call by Raheem Morris. Give the rook a chance to earn his stripes. And with the versatility and ability, speed, athleticism, and quickness that Billy Bowman offers in the position, I have very, very high hopes for him. But that still leaves a position with Dee Alford, at least as a rotational player, that is another question mark, at least for me. Because I think your starting corners, A.J. Terrell, Mike Hughes, and Billy Bowman, that's what you're going to try to rock with for the remainder of the 2025 season. Now, like I said, you could argue that Dee is a depth player and a valued one at that, but I think the time to move Dee Alford would be right now. Because think about this hypothetically. Billy Bowman goes out week 1 through week 17, plays all 17 games, and absolutely crushes it. You are devaluing Dee Alford by the week. So his value is at a certain point right now, and if Billy Bowman crushes it, it just continues to drop to the point where a lot of Falcons fans have said, we just got to cut him. And you can't have this happen anymore. This is from the very first preseason game. This is a rookie, Isaac Tesla, who absolutely bodied Dee Alford. This happens far too frequently. So if you were to try to move him earlier, would be the smart move. Maybe by the trade deadline. I know one team specifically that is starving for secondary help, the Las Vegas Raiders. So what if you sent Dee Alford to the Raiders for a 7th-round pick? Because I don't think you'd get that much more than a 7th. Maybe you could finesse them out of a 6 if Fontenot has some unbelievable negotiation tactics. But I think that's most likely what you're looking at right now. I think I would make this move in a heartbeat. Because if Billy Bowman is what we think he's going to be, you will not get any return for Dee Alford come next season. It just won't happen. So would you make this trade, yes or no? I'm penciling in my yes. But if you think differently, let me know in the comment section down below why you think that is. Now, coming up, I'm going to tell you what my final problem is, and then I'm going to give you my solution. Because this one, to me, is a glaring one that the Falcons need to address immediately. And there is a permanent solution to both of these. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you about our friends over at HelloFresh. They are the sponsor of today's video. Listen, you may have heard of HelloFresh before. They send chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients to your home. But this summer, heading into fall, they made their biggest menu upgrade yet. This isn't the HelloFresh you remember. It's bigger. They've doubled their menu. You can now choose from up to 100 options each week, including new seasonal dishes and recipes from around the world. Dig into bigger portions. That'll keep everybody satisfied. It's also tastier. You can get steak and seafood recipes delivered every single week for no extra cost. There's 3 times more seafood on the menu now at no extra cost. Discover new seasonal produce each week, from snap peas to stone fruit to corn on the cob, and much more. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/FalconsChat10FM now to get 10 free meals, plus a free item for life. 1 box with active subscription, free meals applied with discount on first box, new subscribers only, and varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/FalconsChat10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free item for life. I'll have all of that in the comments and description of today's video. Let's go on and attack this final third problem. Troy Andersen and Bralen Trice. Now, when I say a problem, these two aren't a problem, right? Like, I don't mean that like they're a problem with their character. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about their injuries. Because Troy Andersen, in the last 2 seasons combined, has only played in 9 games, and Bralen Trice hasn't made it out of the preseason yet. So you've got 2 defensive players that will end up taking on a roster spot at some point this season. Bralen Trice already did. Now you moved him to IR. And Troy Andersen, after he clears PUP, will be brought back. And speaking of, let's start with Troy Andersen for a second. 135 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, half a sack, and 5 pressures. Now, you might look at this and say, well, Moose, he doesn't need to get sacks because that's not the way he plays. He is a Middle linebacker. He is a surveyor of the middle of the field. Fine, I'll give you that to you. What is a middle linebacker responsible for? Wrapping up over the middle of the field, making key tackles at key spots. Well, his combined missed tackle percentage in the last 2 seasons is 13.5%. By the way, you need to be under 10% to be considered good. Elite is like 5%. So this isn't good. Well, no, Moose, he's actually more of a coverage linebacker. So it's not about the tackles. Okay, I'll give you that. His opposing quarterback rating when targeted is 101.4 since he's joined the Falcons. I don't know if you know anything about quarterback ratings, but you want to be below 90% for a defense. Or not 90%, a 90 grade. So what does this tell you? He's not great in coverage. He's missing tackles. And he can't stay on the field. That's the trifecta of bye-bye. And if I look at the Falcons linebacker depth chart, you could easily roll with these 4. Now, in the event that there is an injury, sure, you'd have to make some corresponding moves. Or you could call up Ronnie Harrison from the practice squad, put 5 to 10 more pounds of muscle on him during this time, and say, go be a makeshift linebacker for the next foreseeable future. So there are ways to supplement and get around the Troy Andersen problem. Let's move on to Bralen Trice. I feel bad for this kid. I know he's trying his best, but he was placed on IR yesterday at the time of this recording. Can't get out of the preseason, and when he was on the field, he wasn't that great anyway. Now, I still believe that there's a lot of talent there that has been unexplored and untapped, but the dude has not played a singular regular season game yet. And I know there's a lot of people that were in the comments that were like, he's only in his 2nd year. How could you think about giving up on him? Because I'm doing what's best in the interest of the Falcons. And the Falcons went out and drafted James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker. This edge room is as deep as it's ever been. So there shouldn't be room, at least in my opinion right now, for a player that can't find his way onto the field. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm ready to get rid of him today. And that old cliche phrase, the best ability is availability, right? You hear it all the time, and you probably roll your eyes when you hear it. But it's true. And both of these players are never available. So what is my ultimate solution? By the trade deadline, you trade Bralen Trice, and you cut Troy Andersen. Start fresh at that linebacker role. I mean, you got Divine Diablo, so you're fine there. And Caden Ellis is a bright spot in that room. So Troy Andersen is a prime candidate to be off this team if he cannot stay healthy. And Trice still offers a ton of value from a talent perspective where some team might trade you a 5th-round pick for Trice to just kind of see what he's got. And the Falcons don't have a 5th-round pick in 2025 at this point. So that could be another way to get that pick back and not lose any starting talent in this edge room. But if you had to pick one to keep, who would it be? Let me know. If I was going off of everything that I just said, if I had to keep one of them, I'd keep Trice. But, hey, that's the way it rolls. So let me know in the comment section down below. Trice or Andersen, which one would you keep? A reminder to join the Noti gang. If you love the content that we're pumping out, make sure you hit a like on this video as well. Hit that subscribe button. And as always, Falcons fans, have a great weekend and be cool.